Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online community for people who are curious, want to learn new things and improve themselves in different ways. It includes classes on numerous topics, including guitar playing and music production. Do you want to improve your guitar improvising? If so, I have 7 great tips for you. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo J. Karilainen. It's good to have you along. You can call me this guy if my name is tricky to pronounce. Today we're talking about improvising, and I have 7 great tips for you to improve your improvising. Some of these will give you clear goals on what to work on, stuff to aim at. But like with everything, when you start out, it won't sound great. It will suck. But don't worry about that. It will get better. So, let's get going. Number 1, learn licks. Why? Because they add to your vocabulary. There's more stuff you can say with your instrument if you know more licks. Someone might say that they improvise purely, they have no licks, but I don't believe that. Actually, I don't believe that for a second. Yes, there is such a thing where you improvise without any licks. I'm not saying that, but everyone falls back on something. When ideas run out, everyone starts somewhere, and it's a good idea to have a good batch of licks to fall back on if your ideas run dry. And you don't have to use those licks. I remember learning this. That kind of thing. And I don't think I've ever used that. Not that exact thing. Another thing I rarely use is this. But something I use constantly is this. Which is just something based on that kind of an idea. And I do this thing I do often. Or so there's a huge bunch of licks that I use. If you want a bunch of licks that I use, assorted stuff, you can find those over on my Guitar Academy that you can access via my Patreon. Links in the description. So what would your goal be regarding licks? Well, maybe learn 1 a day, and at some point you start integrating them into your own playing, maybe 1 per day, something like that. That would be a clear goal, and you can measure your progress that way and improve faster and have more fun doing it. Number 2, learn your scales and modes. Now these really help, but one thing that people do is let's say they learn their Dorian mode, which is in D, it would be. That's the traditional box that a lot of guitar players use. Nothing wrong with that, but try breaking out of that box. Not just moving like this, but also moving like this. Because if you can move this way as well as this way, it will unlock the whole fretboard, which will mean much better solos, much more enjoyable improvising, and you'll have more fun. So you can take, I want to learn 1 mode per week, and when I've learned it this way, next week I'll learn it on the strings that way. So for instance, if we stay in D Dorian, that would be something you could do, that type of an idea, not just going because that can be a bit boring. Or go the whole string. Or you can make up your own licks and stuff that you do to move up and down on 1 string. You can do it on 2 strings. And speed is not the important thing. You just do it at the pace you want to, so that you learn those modes. And before you know it, maybe you can play. Only better than me. Before we go on, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. They have plenty of material out there both for beginner and intermediate guitar players, such as Music Theory 101 by Henry Olsen, which looks very useful. There's over 5 hours of material in there, so there should be plenty you can learn even if you're an intermediate guitarist. Personally, I've been looking at Filmmaking for All, Tell Your Story Through Video by Don Mace to improve the content on this channel, and it's very interesting stuff which has given me ideas and food for thought. So there's plenty of stuff there, not just guitar playing. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so be sure to check that out down below. Number 3. Learn to identify which notes you enjoy over which chords. So let's just say we're in E minor. A whole step up from the saddest of all keys, D minor. So just one note that I really like is this one, F sharp. The second scale degree. That's what you have in E minor add 9. And I really like that. Another one I like is the flat 5, but as a passing kind of thing. So learn to identify those. One way of doing that is just playing really slow stuff and listening to what you're playing and making mental notes as you go along. But again, like everything else, this takes time. And your tastes might shift and so on. When you have actual chord progressions, that changes things. You don't need to know the names of what you're learning if you don't want to, but learn the sounds, that will help. Number 4. Now, this has really helped me. Learning different styles. So I think you should learn different styles. Take like one guitar player per month. You don't have to go in depth with that stuff. You can, let's say you spend 1 month learning Mark Knopfler type stuff, and you can add some of that to your playing or whatever. Brian May, you take Pat Metheny, you take Steve Vai. I'd say this is when something you should do when you're technically fairly proficient, or at least not a beginner. But when you're an intermediate guitar player, I think this will only benefit your playing. Give you a broader variety of stuff to do. Just make your solos so much more interesting. Number 5. Closely related to the previous one. Mix up techniques. Learn new techniques. Build up your solo. So, if you just do this. All day, every day, people will stop listening to you. Sometimes you can have a solo which is just full-on craziness. But most of the time, it's a good idea to build it up. You can change techniques, styles, and all that. And the more techniques you know, the more licks you know, all of that stuff, the better you can build that solo up. So you might have as a goal that you want to learn one new technique per month, and it doesn't have to be a kind of whole thing, but I don't know, let's say 1 month you'll work on kind of weird bends. Something like that. 1 month. Whammy bar stuff. Something like that. Now we're coming to the second to last one. The last one is, for me, the really big one. But number 6. Another important one, I would say. Transcribe stuff. That'll improve your ears. You'll learn stuff kind of in a different way than just learning from tab and so on. Give you a deeper understanding of what your ears are hearing, and like I said, just improve your ear, which in turn will help you as you're playing, because you need to listen to what you're playing in order to steer it in the right direction and get good ideas and all that, and listen to your bandmates and so on. Or if you're using a backing track, just the backing track. So transcribing is something I'd really recommend. Maybe take one song a day or one solo a day, depending upon how complex it is. At the moment, I have a kind of goal of transcribing 1 or 2 Brian May guitar solos per week. And number 7. This is the really big one, the important one. Practice it. I mean, improvise. Just do it. It's even if it sounds like horse droppings, do it. It will get better. And record yourself when you're playing. On occasion. Practice it. Record yourself again. Rinse and repeat. And at some point, you will notice an improvement. You can have the goal, I will practice improvising 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever pleases you. For long periods, that was the only practice I did. I just popped on a cassette way back in the day and just played over whatever I had on the cassette. Later on CDs, now it's Spotify quite often, or just a playlist from my computer where I have some stuff. But it can be radio, I've done that as well. It's a brilliant thing is just turn on the radio, play over whatever they're playing. Some of the stuff you won't even know. Great exercise for practice and also your ears. Anyway, I hope you find these useful. If you want to check out more of my lessons, there's a playlist here. There's also a playlist with some of my music. Please check that out. Click like if you liked the video, comment, let me know what you thought, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell notification thing, and join me on Patreon. That's where you get access to all of my music, all of my lessons, and a bunch of exclusives, and you can even take that stuff for free. There's a link to that in the description. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. I hope you have a nice day. Take care. Bye.